to stand up in front of the panel and tell them their opinion on why it shouldn't be built. In that time, they had hearings all across British Columbia. In that time, only 2 people spoke in favor of the pipeline. And yet the National Energy Board approved it. Well, they wanted to make sure that kind of dialogue and that kind of embarrassment could never happen again. So now to take part in those processes, you have to prove that you're directly affected. Directly affected is a really open test. It's hard to, like, from their legal definition, tell whether or not you're directly affected. And so in the Kinder Morgan process, over 2,000 people applied to take part, and only about 400 of those folks got full access to the process, to what's called intervener status. So they actually get a chance to submit evidence, question the company, and in theory the company has to answer those questions. Around 1,250 got the right to write a letter or be a commenter. So you had to go through an 11-step form to be able to write a letter to a government agency. They also did away with in this process, cross-examination, because again, the oil companies were embarrassed when their companies were put up in front of the public at hearings in the joint panel review and were asked hard questions that they didn't have great answers for, like how they were going to clean up an oil spill, as an example. So they got rid of all those cross-examination hearings. In fact, there are very few public hearings at all as part of the process now. And they also, of course, made it much easier for Kinder Morgan, in this case, not to give answers to questions that they have to ask. So cities like Vancouver and Burnaby and some unlikely places like Langley have asked tough questions of Kinder Morgan, hundreds of them, in fact. And most of those questions have gone unanswered. And the National Energy Board hasn't stepped up and forced them to answer those questions. The most recent case of this was with the provincial government, province of BC, asked Kinder Morgan to reveal their emergency response plans. And Kinder Morgan said that was information that they couldn't make public and share with the public. The province pursued this and challenged them, went all the way to kind of the end of the NEB process as far as they could. And the National Energy Board ruled in favor of Kinder Morgan and kept those plans secret from the public. So this is the kind of system we're working with. Despite all of those kind of roadblocks that we've faced, I still have a lot of hope for fighting this pipeline, and it's because of rooms like this, where folks come together in their community and start to organize and stand up to the process. The more that these kind of rooms come together and people work together with their communities, with their elected officials, with their local governments, the stronger our chances are of beating this pipeline. And in fact, you know, the NEB process that I've talked about, even though it's so slanted, the final decision isn't going to be made by the National Energy Board. It's going to be made by the next cabinet that's formed after the federal election. So who we elect in this upcoming election is incredibly important for Kinder Morgan and so many other environmental issues. And having strong leaders that set good public policy can roll back some of those changes to the National Energy Board that I talked about, open the system back up, and give the public a real access to how those decisions made. Those are the kind of changes that can happen, and we need to help make happen in this coming year to make it possible to stop bad projects like Kinder Morgan and to re-empower our communities to really have a say in these kind of projects. And that's why I'm here today, and so excited that all of you are here to talk about this issue and hear a little bit from Mabel.
We'll get to period in just a minute. But yeah, I just wanted to thank you, Sven. I mean, it's not easy to be able to tell the whole story of Kinder Morgan, of the pipelines in a concise manner. I'm sure it took an incredible amount of work to really, get this far in terms of the public awareness around the pipeline. So just wanted to thank you for your work.
Yeah.